Okay, so Trapdoor Episode 2, starting now. Alright,
Okay.
so the subject for this rant is graphics in video games. Now, alright, so, alright, I am going to propose the idea that Final Fantasy VII and Minecraft are amazing visual masterpieces. And no, I'm not talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake that looks like makes me want to stab my eyes out. I'm talking about the original PS1 one. The original PS1 one. And here's why. Because those games have brilliant art design. Art design is what all game developers should strive for, because art design is timeless. Let's take a trip back a little bit ahead of Final Fantasy VII, way before Minecraft, the first video game, was invented, okay? So in the GameCube era and the PS2 era, you had a little gem called Zelda Wind Waker. And then you had another gem called Twilight Princess. Though it still looks good, it looks way worse than Wind Waker. Why? Because Wind Waker has an amazing visual aesthetic that is timeless. You can look at Wind Waker and be like, hey, it's cartoon, cel-shaded graphics, and it looks beautiful even today. Similarly, you could look at Chrono Trigger, developed for the SNES, and you could be like, wow, this is beautiful art design, designed by Akira Toriyama, and, you know, it's just a beautiful pixel art. Art design is what we need to invest in the gaming market, because when you invest in realism, you get this weird homogeny. And I understand why the push for realism has happened, because that has allowed for the video game market to expand, and for people who have no taste to be like, hey, it looks real, I'm a real guy, I can play this game. But that it always ages poorly.
Okay. Counterpoint. Have you heard of these things called indie games? They've been doing exactly what you said since 2010.
I know, but modern mainstream games, they don't...
And I would say since 2013 that modern mainstream games have been doing the same thing too.
To a certain extent. Well, Nintendo, alright, has been doing this all along.
Okay, let's draw a line in the sand first of all. So there's two camps. One camp who you're going to talk about, which is Nintendo. And there's one reason Nintendo does it, and there's a reason other people do it. And I argue that the reason that other people do it is more valuable than the reason that Nintendo does it. Now, let me explain why.
All right.
So Nintendo, the reason why they have to always do cartoony graphics and they can't do anything more like realistic is not because they necessarily always want to. It's also because their hardware is like underpowered as shit all the time. There's nothing wrong with that for the stuff that they do, but they don't have the option of doing both and then choosing one, right? But then like on the PS4 or Xbox One or PC or whatever, when you see a game that like on purpose has a distinct art style, it's because they like on purpose wanted to, because they had the option of just throwing it in Unreal Engine or whatever and making it look okay. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that a point that goes along with that is Twilight Princess, I think, because Twilight Princess for the GameCube and was also a launch title for the Wii, which is basically just a GameCube. I mean, not much difference there, to be honest. A little bit more powerful, but not much different. When they tried to make Twilight Princess, the reason that game looks bad... okay, it looks pretty bad. Yeah, it does. It looks pretty bad today is because they didn't have the hardware. So, yeah, you're right there. They don't have a choice of making realistic games, so they always make cartoony games. But I think the reason that they don't care is because most of the time they just make cartoony looking games because that's their brand. And if they...
Oh, and also, well, I mean, yeah, they also, like, their whole brand is built on making cartoony looking games, but they're extremely cheap about selling people hardware, and they always want to make a ton of money on the hardware. There's that too. They're like, yes. I don't know why that's the case.
Yeah, my left Joy-Con and everyone's left Joy-Con is freaking broken, so... yeah, and everybody's DS L and R buttons are broken, basically. Well,
my Game Boy Advance still works perfectly fine.
Well, yeah, okay. My Game Boy and my DS, all my DSs work perfectly fine, but what I'm saying is that was a known issue. Like, a lot of their hardware sucks, kind of. Yeah. But
Yeah,
but
and
this is
I don't even mean like just build quality. I also mean like the stuff inside is also pretty trash.
yeah. But
Like the
what were you?
Switch, for example. The
Yes.
Switch is built off of an Nvidia Shield from like 2013 or 12 or something.
Yeah.
It's like super shitty. But yeah, I mean,
That
it's
was
good for what it is.
that was always my argument for the Switch when I would see it, because I would look at it and say, wait, doesn't this just already exist? Like, it's the Nvidia Shield. Like,
Yeah, it's just an Nvidia Shield with controllers on the sides.
yeah, but it's also like probably the best modern game console though.
Yeah, I'm actually super glad that they made it because this means Sony now has to make a handheld game console.
Yes, that's true. Yes, when I read the rumor that Sony was making like a hybrid console, I got so excited. Anyways, though, like, here's the thing, like, I think that game consoles, because of the push for realism, have lost identity. Because when you just push for realism all the time, it just, your game has little soul because you're just pushing for the same thing and it looks boring. I don't know. I just hate realistic looking games on most of the time.
Just because they're realistic looking. This is like when you hate wireless headphones just because they're wireless or whatever.
It's not though, because I live in the real world and I want media that takes advantage of being media. Like I don't want simulations. I want like a piece of art. I don't want tech demos. I want like a crazy piece of art.
That's also some dumb bullshit sometimes because I can
Why?
appreciate a good looking game. Like Crysis 3 looks good still, you know? I don't mind that it looks vaguely realistic. That's fine with me. It works for what it is. Like if you want a gritty shooter game, I think it's better to look realistic than cartoony. It doesn't carry across the aesthetic. How do you make Last of Us if it's a cartoon or whatever? It has to be realistic.
My answer to this, and it's gonna sound extreme, my answer is don't make Last of Us, because I hate that game and it looks terrible and it plays terrible.
Well, yeah, you're also an anime, weeb, so how much should your opinions count, really, you know?
I don't care. I don't care. They just are my opinions. Like, I don't have the mainstream opinion. Like, I'm not even trying to not have the mainstream opinion. I'm just having my opinion. Like, on the contrary, though, where realism shines is a game like Dark Souls, where the art design is really good, and it also is going for somewhat realism. I just think games need to have strong art design. Like, that's the key for me. And I think too much focus on realism can destroy that. That's what I think.
I mean, yeah, I don't like Quantum Break. Like, that was a game that literally wanted to be photorealistic. Like, half the game was a TV show. Like literally a TV show. So I'm not a fan of games like that, but like, I can appreciate that when a game does, it's like, I don't even mind if it is, like, Crysis 3 is basically a tech demo to some extent, but it's a really good game also. I've played it a bunch. So I don't mind if it is, just pushing the technology, because sometimes you need to push the technology, because who's going to do that for the next generation? Like people like Dragon, whatever, what's it called? Dragon Quest or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Even if it has like solid art design, it's still being rendered at like with different techniques and stuff than it was in the early 2000s. So art design is fine, but there's technology also that needs to be pushed at some point. I mean, that's not really a hot take. None of this is a hot take, by the way.
Yeah. The Dragon Quest point is good because, but see, okay, let's look at Dragon Quest though, because if you look like the very first Dragon Quest game on the Famicom/NES, it's like, it's obviously very primitive. It's like tile-based JRPG, and random encounters, a slime draws near, you see the static image of the thing pop up. Now they can do like this whole world, and you run into the enemies on the field, and it's still the same spirit, but the further, it's still the same basic sort of gameplay, but they've added onto it, and they've used the technology to increase the art design, to further realize the vision, to further do what they were trying to do, like, all along, sort of. Like, they're using the technology to create this amazing aesthetic. And I think that's where it should, stuff should head. Like, again, like, I think Bloodborne, that game uses the PS4 technology to create just like a beautiful game. It's not trying to push for photorealism, but it's using the technology to realize this amazing vision, I think that's what I like. That's what I want games to be,
Also, fuck consoles, because they're really holding back this, just in every sense. Because Bloodborne could have looked so much better. Like, it could have been so much more effective in terms of what it was going for, because it's like half like a blur, because the anti-aliasing doesn't work on PS4 or whatever. Like, basically, console exclusives need to die, is what I'm saying.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think all exclusives need to die, and I think consoles need to die. I kind of do.
They're mostly already dead, because
yeah,
the PS4 and whatever are just built with PC components anyway. It's not like the PS3 where it was like some weird thing that nobody knows what it was.
Yeah, they say. I mean, here's the thing though, because like, I've always been a huge fan of portable gaming consoles. I kind of think there's I like those though. That's why I love the Switch. Like, I don't know, portable gaming consoles. Do you think that those need to exist? Because I love those. I don't.
Yeah, I like those too. I think they have a place for sure. Because, well, first of all, there's this new technology called game streaming. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Not like Twitch, like actual game streaming.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Like Xbox Game Pass, I think does that.
Oh no, not that. Game Pass is just like it just lets you play all the games that you want at any given time. This is like the game doesn't even exist locally, and you're just like streaming some other computer playing the game, and you're just putting in the inputs.
Yeah, like Monster Hunter World in Japan on the Switch does this, I think, and I know Resident Evil 7 on Switch does this. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that could be like a way to do portable without the compromises that usually come with portable.
Yeah, it's true.
But that has its own problems. Like, it's basically like always online DRM for every game, because you have to be online to play the game, and
yeah, it sucks.
Once you stop paying the subscription, you can't play any of your games anymore, stuff like that.
Yeah, you don't own the game once the servers shut down.
Which I already hate Steam because of that. Like, I don't like Steam. Steam is crappy. I get everything from GOG as much as possible, but like, because one, it's just like you don't have to launch Steam to launch a game. That just is way more convenient for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good argument for consoles, though. Let's be real, because like, nobody can DRM. It
makes them way
disc.
cheaper, by the way. This DRM thing like makes it way cheaper. The consoles, it could be like $70 or something, like super cheap.
But like, if you have a disc, you own the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Which you don't really anymore, because now they can just be like, oh, you need to download a patch or whatever. So it makes it unplayable unless that server is online to download the patch.
Dude, do you know? Okay, this actually affected me because GTA San Andreas, I'm sure you've heard of this. GTA San Andreas on Steam removed songs from the game.
Yeah, I think they did that with GTA 4 too recently.
Yeah, and because I was playing the game and I was like, I'm on the rock radio station, why can't I hear Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of? It turns out that update that I downloaded that I was like, oh, what's this? Removed songs from the game. And I got so mad.
Yeah, this is why like you should just pirate every game you already own, because the pirated versions are always better.
That is a good
Notice
point.
Notice I said already owned, so don't sue me. I'm not trying to get sued, but
Okay, well, I am pirate. No, I'm just kidding.
Support game devs. I didn't
I
say
agree.
anything.
Okay, but Final Fantasy IX. Let's go to this. They lost all the assets to it. The Switch port is the iOS port, so the backgrounds look muddy. So the only way that you can play that game in its true form is the disc. So that leads credence to that point. Like,
You don't even
DRM.
need the disc. The disc is just files. Like I
Yeah.
could make do with just the files. I would be fine with.
Yeah, you could just, I mean, download a ISO ROM of it, you know. But
Yeah.
that,
Remember
yeah.
ISOs? That was fun back in the day. ISOs were
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, remember when Nintendo removed everything from Emo Paradise? Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm not that big of a retro gamer. Otherwise, I would be so up in arms about that. I'm already pretty ticked off about that.
It sucks. It's a huge point against art preservation. Like, cause like
Yeah, there's this foundation called the Electronic Frontier, Electronic Freedom Foundation. They kind of went to the Supreme Court to argue about this. Like, when should video games be considered like art that has to be preserved?
like
They
in
actually-
a, like in a museum sense. Like, yeah, I get.
Or in a sense where like the public has access to it, because it's like intellectual property, right? So technically the public doesn't have any right to access it or use it in any way. But they argued that because it's like part of kind of the history of the internet or whatever, that the public does have access to it, and they were able to like there's like a law now that online games that are abandoned by their makers for like a certain number of years can be brought back by the community.
Really?
Yeah, that's like a thing that can happen now. But that also means that companies now won't let that happen ever. Like, they won't let it go out for that many years. They'll just make a new game with the same IP. Then
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Blizzard just did this actually. They shut down that old classic World of Warcraft server, and then they just made their own like fake, not
Yeah,
really
WoW
classic
Classic.
World.
I played
Yeah.
WoW for like 2 seconds once when I was a kid, so I have no idea. But
Me
yeah,
too. Yeah,
would've
I
been in
hate
the WoW
WoW.
Classic days.
Yeah, I hate WoW. I hate that game. It's boring. But yeah, but that was just an example, you know. Also, I hate Blizzard and Activision. I don't like them. Oh, that's another thing. Like, Blizzard, I mean, isn't Blizzard anymore. That's every company.
Blizzard is Activision Blizzard, yeah. They're
Yeah.
they're pretty like corporate now.
Yeah.
I mean, they were corporate before too, but yeah.
Another thing, like, about, okay, this is an interesting point about against realism, because, or well, this isn't strictly a realism thing, but it has to do with it, because so Final Fantasy 15, right? I know, is that game.
That game is a meme though. It's really a
it's-
meme. Okay.
It's a terrible game. I know. I feel like the push to make it like this, like, open world, like you're driving a car and everything looks kind of realistic. It's just the wrong direction. I hate that realism and open world design is seeping into everything, because like, if Final Fantasy took the approach of just like they did back in the day, like Final Fantasy X, say what you want about that game, like, it was a revolutionary, that game was revolutionary at the time, and they made it in like 2 years. Final Fantasy 15 took like how many years to make? Like,
They've
10
been
years to
talking about
make?
it since like 2015, at least 2015. So,
Yeah, it's
a long time.
It started off as like Versus 13. It started off as like 3 different games or something, and like, and I think and that has to do with that has to do with so many other things, but like, I think just the direction that the game was going, like this open world photorealistic game, it just, like, I don't know, the like, if you push to make it such a spectacle, you put millions of dollars of budget into this game, you have to make it this big thing. It's just, they should go back to their old ways of like just making like a 2-year like game. I don't know.
You can't do that anymore though. That's the thing.
I know.
Like, now, that's why like every movie is a Marvel movie now, because the people don't want like small movies anymore. People only go to the theaters to see like giant ass movies. So now every theater Every studio wants to make giant movies to get that $1 billion box office or whatever. Nobody wants like 250 million anymore.
Yeah, that's why I said this is not strictly a graphics thing. This is just like this is a discussion about entertainment as a whole. Like, overinflated budgets lead to it inherently is going to ruin your, not ruin, but like lessen your product, because you can't make this high budget thing and then not recoup that budget. So you have to change the fundamental vision in some way.
Yeah, exactly. So one example of this, like the best example of this, would be Star Citizen.
I don't know
What even
that
is that game anymore? Oh, you don't know Star Citizen? This is worth a Google, by the way, if you don't know what
Okay.
Star Citizen is.
I'll
Star
look it up.
Citizen is like the most successful crowdfunding campaign of all time. Like, it raised like hundreds of millions of dollars for a video game that's supposed to be like an open world space sim.
Oh no.
Like, it's basically promising to be everything to everyone, and there's no way. Like, the game's not released yet. It's been in development since like 2011 or earlier.
Oh no.
And
That's never-
every year they just like add more and more features. Like, they brought in like Mark Hamill to voice act and stuff like that.
Oh god. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now.
And like, this is an example of the type of photorealism that you don't like. They're just adding more and more graphics features that nobody asked for, and it's so big now that you can't even run it on hardware that exists today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is just like, I don't think this is going to end well. We'll see. Like, and people who know about Star Citizen will be like, yeah, this is super obvious, but they sell like spaceships in the game, which you can buy as an early adopter or whatever,
No.
and they
Yeah.
cost like from like hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars.
Whew. Oh no. Yeah.
It's a yikes, big yikes on this one.
Oh god. Yeah, this looks... I mean, you just can't do it, man. Like, the expectation, it is... Even if this game gets released, it will never...
Which it might not, by the way. That's a definite
Yeah.
possibility.
If this game gets released, it would almost be worse if it got released with this kind of thing, because it's never going to match people's expectations. Like, people are going to be like, yeah, this wasn't worth $10,000 for my internet Star Trek rip-off spaceship, you know? Like,
Yeah.
this reminds me of EVE Online, where, like, people pay, you know that game?
Yeah, but EVE Online is like, it's just, have you seen EVE Online? It looks like nothing. It's just like dots on a space thing.
Yeah, but I guess I'm more talking about how people really spend this much money on spaceships in games.
The money part,
Yeah, I'm talking about the...
it's like an econ sim, so it kind of makes sense that they have money, but this is just like a playground for like a graphics playground.
Yeah, this is way worse. Yeah, this is way worse. Definitely. Like, this just happened. Kingdom Hearts 3. So much expectation for that game, so much development. Look up footage of Kingdom Hearts 3. It does not look good. Does not look,
I noticed it's quite a bit like high res than before.
Well-
The trailers make it look like real nice, graphics wise, but I have no idea what the game's about. So
Well, like, the game, like, look at one cutscene of the game, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It looks like, oh my god, this was like, if you look at the gameplay and you look at the way that, like, if you look at the overall presentation, it looks like this game was not in development for 15 years for a good reason. It looks like this is a cobbled together mess, just like Final Fantasy 15. Really, Square Enix is just an awful company, and I hate them. Squaresoft was good, but I hate Square Enix. I just want to make
Square
that clear.
Enix made a couple of other games too. Didn't they make like that Devil May Cry remake?
Yeah, which some people like. I don't know.
I actually liked that. That was pretty good. I don't mind that at all. Like, I don't think that he needs to be like like white haired or whatever. I played the original Devil May Cry. I thought that was good. I thought this was like they just kind of made it like a linear like action adventure game, which I thought was fine. It was a good game. I played most of it.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, just talking about big companies like this. It's like at this point, Square Enix is such a big company. I can't just definitively say I hate Square Enix because there's so many things that they do, and I like some of the stuff that they've done, but as a whole, the SquareSoft was the real company to me. Like when Sakaguchi left, Hironobu Sakaguchi left. I mean, it just became a different thing. You know what I mean? And that's always gonna happen. So.
When that guy who's like currently running the Dark Souls, like the guy who, you know who I'm talking about, right? The guy
yeah,
who,
Miyazaki, yeah.
Yeah, when he leaves that company, they're gonna go to crap too. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean.
And then Dark Souls will become what you hate.
Yeah, it will, honestly, because Final Fantasy X. I guess you could say 10-2, but I'm just gonna say 10-2 was the last one that Sakaguchi had any development with. But if you play Final Fantasy X, that was his last game. That was his last Final Fantasy game. The game literally starts off with a piano piece, and it literally starts off with the main character going, "Listen to our story. This may be our final chance." It's such a if you play the game, it really feels like the culmination of everything that he tried to do, and it just feels like the last hurrah of the series. It really feels like the last one. To me.
Wasn't that supposed to be Kingdom Hearts 3 too? Is something similar?
Yeah, I think so. Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts 3 was actually originally supposed to be the start of a new story arc, but
oh no, please God, no.
But then Nomura made all those side games 358 Days Over 2, Birth by Sleep, Union X Cross, all this stuff. It literally became the finale. So Kingdom Hearts 3 just became a whole nother game as the development went on. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a mess. Yeah.
Did you play it? Or how do you know that
No.
it's a mess?
I've just looked up footage of it. It just looks... it just looks like... Just look at the cutscenes. And just look at the gameplay. That's all you need to see, to be honest. I don't know.
Well, the gameplay and the cutscenes, isn't that the game?
Yeah. Yeah. It just doesn't look that good to me. I don't know. But, technically I haven't played it, so I can't technically judge, even though I hate that excuse, because if you look at a Let's Play, you can basically tell,
Yeah, you can kind of
nowadays.
tell,
Yeah.
although some parts you do miss, the feel of certain things, but yeah, mostly you can tell.
Yeah, I haven't played Final Fantasy 15 technically, but I went over to my friend's house, I played a little bit of it, and I've looked up a lot of it online. From what I felt, the controls were bad, the combat was boring, and the whole game... Okay, Final Fantasy 15 literally has a side quest where it's oh, the professor left something in the dungeon, okay? Get this. You get the note to start the side quest. You go in the dungeon, it's a pre-made, randomly generated dungeon that looks like every other dungeon in the game that's exactly like this. You go in, it says something about a character leaving something, you go down there, there's a dinosaur that you fight, and then you get the item and the quest is over. Now, people...
That sounds like a RuneScape quest, by the way.
Yeah, it started off like it was about to be a storyline with a professor that lost something. Turns out it was a creature, has nothing to do with what the quest is, and get this, to top it all off, the dinosaur that they used in the game for the quest is from an asset pack, from a Russian asset pack.
Yikes.
I'm not even kidding you. And it's this is so stupid. This is what Square Enix is.
Why is the
now.
asset pack Russian?
I don't know. But I'm getting so mad talking about this because it's this is what this company is now. I don't know. It frustrates me. It's so stupid. It's really bad. it's like, are we not even making our games now? Like, like, I mean, is that like the video game equivalent of music sampling? Like, I don't know. Like,
Oh, it's just funny because like the industry is largely split into like two separate sections. There's like one huge like studio dominated section, which is just big budget games that like are all now trying to become a service. Like nobody wants to just be a normal game anymore. All games have to be a service now.
yeah,
And there's the other side, which is just like people who got so tired of the studios they quit and are now living on like ramen and Cheerios to make indie games.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. That happens. But see, a lot of times that backfires though, because that dude, you remember the Mighty Number Nine situation?
Yeah.
Yeah, where the dude claimed to be like the mastermind of Mega Man, and he asked for all this money, and then the game didn't look like anything that was promised. Turns out he wasn't even the developer of Mega Man. He was like a project manager business guy that ended up working on some of those NES Mega Man games.
Which I was like, why did nobody like check his credentials at all? Like they're just like, oh, it's a Japanese guy. He worked on Mega Man. That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's emotion, man. It's like people who play those NES Mega Man games, which actually, I mean, those games are really good. Like, they actually hold up really well. Like, I love the Mega Man games. Like, they're really
I mean,
good.
a lot of games from that time actually hold up really well because they were
Yeah.
designed in a time where graphics was not a thing. And now we've come around to where graphics are so good that they don't have to be a thing anymore.
Yeah, it
Like
doesn't
it's
even.
not a differentiating factor anymore. So now people are like going, full circle. So
Yeah.
like Metroid, all the Metroid games hold up like perfectly well. And like there's whole like genres of game that rip the Metroid style off now, like not calling out any names, but like Metroidvania games are a huge deal now. Like just
Yeah.
the style. Like it's a thing. It's a genre. It's like roguelike Metroidvania is a thing.
Yeah. Well, it's weird that you say I'm not going to call anything out because they literally wear that as a badge of honor. Like, Guacamelee is, you know that game? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Metroid, and it's great. Like, that game's fantastic. Like, it's just a Metroid game, and like that's what a lot of indie games are. It's just a Metroid game, and they're really good. Like, I think that's a good thing. Um, sort of like Mighty Number Nine was like shady and weird Kickstarter, and like the game ended up being terrible. Sort of something that happened in the middle of that is Igarashi, the Metroid guy, the dude who made Symphony of the Night, I should say, who created like the Metroidvania stuff. He has that new thing, Bloodstained Ritual of the Moon. Have you seen that game?
I have seen that. What's it called again? Ritual of the what?
Bloodstained Ritual of the Moon. And interestingly, that Kickstarter campaign is kind of promising on. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to call him out here because he promised a 2D game, and it looks like a 3D cheaper game than what it was promised. I'm going to be honest. It
2D assets are extremely expensive. So
Yeah.
there's that. That's probably why.
Yeah, but on the other hand, this is kind of a weird decision, but they made another game called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon instead of Ritual of the Moon, which is like an NES style 2D Metroid game. Looks amazing, plays really good, super cheap. I think it's like $10 to $5. It's on everything, and it's great. It's like the best Castlevania game, kind of. The best NES era Castlevania game. It's actually really good.
Hey, as long as you get what you wanted, right? Isn't that the whole point of Kickstarter campaigns?
Yeah.
I'm happy if they deliver a product at all these days,
It's very true, very true. And I think to be fair, people are happy with even though it's not 2D assets, it looked like the screenshots they were promising, like you could tell they weren't going to deliver because it looked like this really slick like anime, like yeah, they weren't going to deliver, but I think people are just happy to have another Symphony of the Night, I think.
Oh, speaking of Castlevania, I actually watched that Castlevania show after saying it was horrible for a long time. It was actually good, so yeah, changed my mind on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, I've never seen season 2, but the first one was good. I like
Is
it.
there season 2?
Yeah, it just came out recently.
Oh, okay. Well, see, this is where if I had watched that, this would have been a timely and topical thing to talk about, but it's not. So I
Well,
should just shut up.
well, when I said just now, I meant like it came out like 2018, like probably 3 months ago or something. You know, so.
I'm not plugged in to anything really.
I guess I just use Twitter more, so I just see like the type of people I
Yeah.
follow retweet like artsy stuff like that. You know what I mean? I guess.
Yeah, for some reason my Twitter consists mostly of New York Times
Boomer.
and well, I only follow them once, but they post 40,000 times a day, and I don't want to unfollow them. They'll be like, then I don't know anything.
Wait. So you're like, oh, I don't want to unfollow New York Times. He won't be my friend anymore.
You completely cut out there. I didn't hear anything you said. I just heard you laugh, so I'll just laugh with you.
You're acting like New York Times is like a friend that you don't want to unfollow.
It kind of is, but it's like an old friend who voted for Trump or something. It's like, I don't really want to hear your stuff, but like, if I don't, then you might blindside me by coming to my house and burning it down or something. It's like that.
Yeah. Me. Oh my god. Yeah. Meanwhile, the New York Times is probably trying to destroy like all new media and everything that you stand for. Like, New York Times probably hates
the New
new
York
media.
Times is basically running a Patreon right now. Like, that's how they're running right now. They just have a subscription.
Okay, well, good for them.
So they're about as new media as it gets these days, you know.
You know, that's an interesting thing. Like, haven't we kind of come full circle? Because, like, used to be you, like, paid for a subscription to the newspaper. Now you pay for people's Patreon. Right?
Yeah, which is something like you said, like, you know how we don't take digital stuff seriously. It's
Yeah.
like we're just used to not paying for stuff that's on the internet, and we have to like kind of get rid of that mentality because there's no real world anymore. There's only the internet, so we have to pay for stuff.
Or rather, the real world and the internet are one and the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the same thing. So now
Yeah.
instead of paying for stuff in real life, we pay for stuff on the internet, which is why
Exactly.
every podcast I listen to has 3 ads for dick pills, which I have to sit through for no reason.
Yeah, just skip over that. But see, again, this is a problem though, because like people are taking advantage of this. Like, if the not taking advantage, but like just the very nature of it, it's like if the Steam servers shut down, all the like what 100 games in my Steam library, like I won't have access to them, or I won't be able to re-download them. You know, like that's a problem.
Yep, exactly. Which is
guess
the same
that's-
with Spotify, by the way. If Spotify closes, you won't have gained anything by giving them all that money.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't pay for Spotify. So. Side note, I recently resubscribed to Crunchyroll, so you know.
Fuck Crunchyroll. No, I'm kidding. I like Crunchyroll. I was subscribed to them for a long time until I stopped watching anime completely. Then I unsubbed.
Oh yeah, I actually really like Crunchyroll too. I'm gonna
I have a few problems with the tech side of their business, like just how nothing runs ever on their stuff.
yeah.
It's the most clunky website ever. But other than that, I think they're fine. And I like that they kind of like grassroots grew out of the community. There is that instead of being like Funimation.
Oh, I hate Funimation. Yeah, I hate Funimation. Yeah.
Also, didn't they lose some shows because Funimation isn't partnered with them anymore?
Yeah, that made me mad. Yeah, they lost it. Well, I mean, to be fair, not shows that I care about, but it's still principle makes me mad. They lost season 1 of My Hero and Attack on Titan, but they have the other seasons on their website, so it ruins the point. Like, you can't watch season 1, but you can watch season 2 and 3. It's stupid, you know? Like, screw you, Funimation. And
It just kind of makes it hard for people to get into the show, right?
yeah,
And,
exactly.
and Crunchyroll can't recommend the show anymore because if they do, they'll be like, "Where's season 1?" Be like, we don't talk about season 1."
Yeah. Yeah, also, I mean, I can't, I mean, I can't just be like, screw Funimation, because they're kind of a big part of why anime caught on in the West, you know? I would have never gotten into anime had it not been for the Full Metal Alchemist dub, which
Who did the Death Note dub, by the way?
I don't know. I never
Probably
watched
them,
Death
right?
Note. I just read
Who
it.
else could it be?
It's probably the.
Oh, shout out to Crunchyroll. Actually has the Death Note live action series, which is like sneaky good. Actually, they like changed the story to actually make it kind of work.
Wait, is it good? I don't know.
Like if they made an anime version of the live action version, it would be like better, because live action is not great to tell anime stories. But other than that, I thought the live action adaptation of the story was actually pretty good. I saw most of it. Like they kind of preempt some of the loose ends and incorporate some of the ass pulls earlier, so that it doesn't seem like it's coming out of nowhere.
Let's talk about an elephant in the room, though. Nobody in, like, I guess Western. This doesn't get a lot of hype in the Western media, I guess, but like, Japan has a ton of live action anime.
Yeah,
like,
actually, and
yeah.
I only see them on Crunchyroll. Nobody really watches them. There's no like pirated demand for any of these.
Yeah, have you seen that One Piece TV show trailer?
No.
Live action TV.
Does it look good? I haven't actually watched One Piece the anime or read the manga either. So
the anime's terrible. The manga's pretty good shonen. But the TV live action series, they went out of their way to make the characters super show accurate, which they always do in these Japanese.
They always
anime.
do.
Yeah.
Have you seen the live action like Netflix Full Metal Alchemist movie?
No.
They like took so much pain to like make the first scene exactly the same, but it doesn't matter because it's still live action.
I kind of appreciate that, though. The way you make a live action anime adaptation is just increase the camp, basically. Like, don't try to do it seriously, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't like it's like that Death Note Netflix movie. Like,
oh god, yeah. So terrible.
every time I think of that guy screaming in the classroom, I like want to throw up. It's so bad.
That was the funniest scene, though. That was the best scene.
I feel like what did the director tell him to do? Like scream like you've just turned into a little girl and you don't know how to turn back. Like what was the direction there? Is what I want to know.
Yeah, so many fundamental things about the Death Note live action. Just like the whole point is that Light is like this, like playboy. Like he's like super good at stuff, so no one would expect him to be the murderer. But in the Netflix one, he's just like this edgy,
he's like
whiny.
Hot Topic, the person. He's just
yeah. Do you know who that actor is?
No idea.
Okay, this may surprise you. I have a history with that actor. That actor was not in real life. I watched his stuff. I mean, because I watched him. He was the star of a Nickelodeon show called The Naked Brothers Band. Do you know about this?
I probably watched it. Dude, wait. Sing one of their songs. I think I know who you're talking about.
Put it in the blender, put the banana and shake it all up. You got a banana smoothie.
I can't tell if you're being serious.
I'm being dead serious. And then there's one
I thought
that's
you were
like,
just memeing. Okay.
No. There's one that's like, LA, it's a day. Sunshine, happiness in Studio City. That was another one of their songs called LA. The Naked Brothers Band. On Nickelodeon.
I have heard of them. I've probably watched them. I used to watch all kids TV until like 2009, and then I quit cold turkey. But until that, I was very into Nickelodeon of any kind.
Oh, dude. I was the hugest Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel stan. That's all I watched. Up until like probably the age of 14. Like, yeah.
I'm trying to do the math to what year that was. I'm not gonna say it.
What year? What was it?
Let's just keep your identity as a faceless internet blob, pink blob.
Well, actually, that's kind of a lie, because like 14, I was probably watching Breaking Bad too and stuff. But like, you know, whatever. What even was the discussion?
I have no. I think we were talking. Oh wait,
Naked Brothers Band.
you wanted to talk about how Rocket League is lame or something, right?
Did I? I don't know.
Isn't that why I'm playing Rocket League in the first place?
I don't think I did, but sure, we could talk about why Rocket League is lame, even though here's my I don't
Here's
know.
your hot take on Rocket League. Go ahead.
I have none. I just think it looks boring. I don't know. I have nothing to say about Rocket League, to be honest. This is anticlimactic. I mean, it looks like a well-designed game for what it is, but it's just nothing.
Rocket League is like the
play.
closest thing to the original Smash I think we're ever gonna get in a game.
Isn't Smash the closest thing to the original Smash?
Yeah. Okay. What the fuck? That's not even a comparison, you dumbass. That's like saying like cheese is the closest thing to cheese. No, that's not a comparison.
You
it's
said
the same thing.
you said original Smash, as in N64 Smash. So like we have the new Smash.
I'm basically taking a shot at the new Smash. I'm saying it's not as well designed as the older Smashes.
Well, I mean, they've added 50 million different variables to the game.
Yeah. What do you think about that? By the way,
so...
what do you think about all the new characters in the new Smash?
I mean, I'm not a competitive player, so I just like it. Like, I don't know. Like, I think Sakurai as a game developer literally has taken the stance Smash is a party game, it's not a fighting game. So like, he literally basically has done all he can in his power to make it like, I don't care about the competitive aspect. And I'm kind of with him. I don't care either. I just like to see Cloud Strife and stuff in my game. So I don't care. Like, I think it's cool to have 50 million characters, to be honest.
Okay, here's a hot take. As someone who has tried to get people to play Smash Wii, just casually, the more characters there are, the more confusing it gets for people. Like, they don't know what's happening, or who's what, or what to pick, or anything.
Okay, what crowd are you trying to get into? Like, what crowd are we talking about here?
The most normie crowd possible.
Well, I mean...
They don't play any games at all.
Well, there you go. Like, I feel like that's kind of unfair.
Have you seen a
like,
Switch ad? Have you seen a Switch ad recently?
Okay. But, like,
what crowd
Smash
does that look like to you? Just
Smash
asking.
isn't Wii Sports. Smash isn't, like... You have to be a little bit of a gamer to even get into Smash at all. Like, you know what I mean?
Wii Sports is amazing, by the way. There's a reason Wii Sports is like the best-selling game of all time. Or is that Tetris? Whatever, number 2.
Well, Wii Sports is the best-selling game because it was bundled with the Wii for free.
Yeah, and there's a reason people bought the Wii. It's for Wii Sports.
Yeah, I agree. Wii Sports is an amazing game. And so is Wii Sports Resort. Very good sequel.
Oh, with the snowboarding and stuff?
What?
With the snowboarding and stuff?
Did it have snowboarding? I think it just had biking.
I have no clue. We might be talking about different games.
It had plane flying and biking and fencing.
Oh, I like tennis. The boxing is really bad, but tennis is good.
Wait, I like the boxing.
The boxing just doesn't seem like realistic at all. But the tennis is like weirdly realistic. It makes you think that someone at Nintendo played tennis but didn't box.
Bro. Okay. Alright. Okay. The tennis minigame in Wii Sports. So, this is related, trust me. So,
okay.
you've actually probably seen an analysis video about this just searching the internet. So there's this composer at Nintendo. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, there's this composer at Nintendo. I can't remember his name. I think it's something Takada, something, who hides a song in every game that he works on. Do you know about this?
Nope.
Okay,
go ahead, tell me.
So, okay, he composed Animal Crossing. He composed Luigi's Mansion. Do you hear the train in the background?
It's okay. We're way past trains at this point.
Yeah, you're right. We're in a post-train society, clearly.
Yeah.
So he hides an obscure melody in each game, and in Animal Crossing, people found it like relatively quickly because like I think KK Slider just plays it. you stand around KK Slider or some character in the game for like 30 minutes or something, and it'll start playing it. That's an obvious way to find it, is just go to KK Slider because he's the music guy. In Luigi's Mansion, the way you find this hidden composition is there's a tutorial that teaches you how to. There's like a splash screen tutorial that teaches you how to use the GameCube controller, because it was a launch title. Teaches you how to use the GameCube controller, how to use the dual stick controls. If you just leave the game on that screen, I did this actually for 30 minutes, it starts playing his secret song. He composed Wii Sports, and he has gone on record saying that the secret song is in every game. People have yet to found the song in Wii Sports, but there was a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory, but a theory that if you played the tennis game, this is so like weird. If you play the tennis game, people think that the way that the hidden composition is hidden in the game is that if you like bounce the racket, right, it hits the other racket, and if you like keep this going if you just keep going consecutively for like an hour with the tennis balls and no one scores a point, people think that the sounds of the ball hitting the racket will morph into the song. It's really interesting.
How did they come up with this, by the way, this theory?
Because his song is hidden in every game that he works on. So
no,
people
like
were
this very specific balls bouncing theory.
People were just trying every variable in the game, and people think that the balls hitting the rackets is his song. Like, because people were just like, okay, we're trying everything in the game to get his song, because the way that his song was hidden in other games was very obscure, like leaving the game on a splash screen to hear the song. So people were just trying every variable, and that's where they think the song is hidden, but they don't know. Like, people have like put the tennis racket like sounds into an audio workstation and like all this stuff. Like, people think that it's hidden somewhere in the tennis game. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed though, because he has come out and confirmed when people found his songs, like, yeah, that's my song on the Luigi's Mansion splash screen. So there is a possibility that it could be confirmed someday, but also not.
What prompted this like explanation from you? What triggered this?
I saw a video about his song in every Nintendo game, and like there was a video about Wii Sports, and I think you know that channel Gamer from Mars?
Gamer what?
Gamer from Mars.
Oh no.
He does all these He does like stuff like theory videos on games, and also does creepypasta readings and stuff. And he has a video about it. Like, yeah.
Okay.
What prompted this explanation is that we were talking about Wii Sports. And that was an interesting Wii Sports fact.
Cool. Okay. I get the connection now. I was like, he's talking about Luigi's Mansion. I'm confused.
Well, like, just the idea that Wii Sports is such a simple game. Just the idea that something like an Easter egg could be hidden in it at all is fascinating. You know what I mean? I find it,
What's cool is I don't think we're gonna see much stuff like that anymore.
What, Easter eggs and stuff?
Or this kind of stuff, just because, like, the creative teams are so big now that there'd have to be like a lot of community. But there are some Easter eggs and shit.
Yeah.
But not something on this, like one guy wouldn't be able to just put whatever he wanted in a game, I don't think.
You're right, yeah. Unless it's an indie game.
Or what if one studio was like, pay us $10, we'll tell you where the Easter eggs are.
Dude, dude, that would happen. Because look, with the new freaking Call of Duty game, they charged $1 for the reticle on the screen. Like the red dot on the screen.
For like a custom reticle, right? Not like the default
No,
one.
just the red dot. The game has no aiming reticule. You have to pay like, I think it's like $1 or like a couple cents to get it. I'm not even kidding you.
This is kind of nuts. Like that's. Also, I feel like that's one of those fake news stories. I don't think that the community would have stood for that.
It is not fake. It is real. I mean, but
do a quick Google on that. Like, see if that's real.
It is 100%
I don't want
real.
to condemn them for no reason.
Dude, there were tons of news articles about it. It is in the store, and
they might have fixed that since then, though. Don't you think?
Call of Duty's latest microtransaction is a tiny red dot. Yep. Like, it's
Nice.
everywhere. It is real.
Is it just for the red dot, or is it for like all reticles in general?
I'm not sure.
Oh well, I never played COD anyway. It's more of a console game, which I'm fine with. But like,
It sucks, yeah.
my normie friends play that. That's all they play is COD on the PS4, and I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, okay. This is literally, there's no way to not make this the most hipster statement of all time. But, hot take. Things becoming widespread kind of ruins them.
Yeah, like whoever like had the first pumpkin spice latte is probably out there like, "Pfft, I hate it now, you know?
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, it's like, yeah, man, like, games are, like, accepted now. Like, oh, yeah, like, everybody plays them now. It's, like, a community and cool, but it's, like, games have gotten worse because of that, kind of. I don't know, man.
I don't think games have gotten worse. I think the community's gotten worse. Not worse. It just has more people, which means more bad people also. Didn't we talk about this in the previous episode? Like this exact thing.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side, man, it's like, you could say, like, things are getting worse, but they're really not, actually. It's just, like, there's more stuff being made. That's the truth.
Yeah. Which, I mean, more stuff means more bad stuff and more good stuff. So, like,
Yeah.
you have to take the good with the bad. Like, it's just, like, this is when they say, like, this is a really bad decade for music or whatever. It's like, no, you just see all the bad stuff. The good stuff we'll see when we look back in 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And we'll see, like, the hits. Like the 90s. People, like, reminisce about the 90s. But at that time, it was, like, really bad.
I mean, yeah, okay, people reminisce about, like, the 90s. What they're really reminiscent about is, like, Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Like, very few bands have actually, like, been critically acclaimed over time, you know what I mean? Like, very few of them. Like, there's a ton of terrible
Yeah, for a
bands.
reason. Like, it's hard to be good.
Yeah. And also, like, but I think you can measure it kind of, though, because, like, I would, like, what we have lost in gaming is big budget games with, like, creative ideas, sort of, and I think that the sweet spot was the PS2 era. Do you agree? Because, like, they had just enough power, and, like, they were putting just enough big budgets to make this big thing, but they had just enough, like, limited resources so that they couldn't make the million bajillion dollar games. And so you got a lot of interesting stuff, like Katamari Damacy, like, even though you don't like it, like, you know, Final Fantasy X, like, Katamari Damacy, like, even though I may not be a biggest fan, like, Ratchet and Clank, you know?
You're leaving out the coolest games on the PS2 ever, like Ico, or is it Ico? Shadow of the Colossus.
Yes! Like, of course, yeah, I'm leaving those out. Yeah.
These, like, atmospheric exploration games. It's like, and then people were like, oh, Journey was so cool when it came out or whatever. I'm like, yo, there was a game that did this on the PS2, bro. Like,
yeah. Dude, that's the thing, like, these PS2 games, like, dude, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus are amazing games. Like, amazing. And, like, those are indie games now. Like, people are making indie games like that now. It's kind of crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, the scope of the market has changed a bit. Like, the studios are only obsessed with getting the biggest bottom line number, and then, like, the creative individual, like, people who only care about the creative part of the medium are doing stuff on their own. But
Yeah.
I feel like for them, it's way harder than it was in the past because there's so much competition now.
Exactly. Do you know, okay, speaking of the dudes who made Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, the freaking sequel to that game, what was it called?
The dog game? The flying dog game? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's almost like when they try to make another game like this, say the modern gaming trends crept in. Like, the game had way too big of a budget, had a huge development hell cycle, and then it ended up being not that good. And, like, turns out the people who were, like, actually making it, like, left halfway in development, and I think they might be making indie games now, probably. if I had to guess, like, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of game.
Indie game dev is like the YouTuber of the game industry. Like, you're just trying to bootstrap your own career without much help from people.
Yeah, and but just imagine if that kind of game in the big budget space could exist again. Like, just imagine if it could actually exist again. Imagine if Last Guardian was like actually good. Imagine if Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15 were actually good. Imagine if all these games like could exist again. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Like, I don't know.
I don't think it's gonna happen though. Like, did you see Anthem?
What was that?
Anthem is an example of exactly what not to do when making a game. It's like they pushed it way too early to meet a deadline. Like, it was full of audio bugs and like other weird game engine bugs and stuff, and like it didn't work right, didn't run great, and it just kind of bombed at the. It's like a weird Destiny clone. When I first saw the trailer, I was like super hyped for it, but they had to push it to make it earlier in the year because they had other games and other dates, I guess. In the end, it just ended up being kind of mediocre. And it's made by BioWare too, so people are worried that BioWare will get shut down now.
I literally just looked up the word Anthem, and I see this generic alien spaceship-looking man with a Destiny-looking UI, and I see the words BioWare, and I'm immediately like, nope. Nope. Yeah.
Are you a BioWare fan? There's a certain like genre of gamer who's like super into BioWare stuff.
Not particularly. However, I played some of Mass Effect 2. I see the appeal. Solid. And wasn't that their last like real game? Didn't like Mass Effect 3 like I could be wrong. Didn't like at the point of Mass Effect 3 there was like a huge shift in the company and EA bought them, and then like that was it.
Whenever EA gets involved, bad stuff tends to happen, except for with Respawn for some reason. Respawn has like the anti-EA serum, so they need to pass that on to whatever company, needs it next. Because
what did they do again?
They made Titanfall 2 after they got bought by EA, so I mean,
oh yeah,
Titanfall 2, solid story, solid multiplayer. And now they made Apex Legends, which apparently was not even a game that EA wanted to ship. Like, they had to just kind of sneak it under EA's eyes. Like, they wanted like it only has cosmetic microtransactions and stuff, and EA wanted like Battlefront 2, the stuff they had in that game, like card-based stuff that basically broke your character.
Hold on. What?
There's some chicken breast.
Okay.
If you wanna cook those on the grill.
When does Paris get home?
She gets home at 5. She's got to go to work. Or she gets home 4:30.
I'll cook those for where she gets here so that she can eat before she goes.
Yeah. You ate lunch yet?
No. Wait, when does Paris gets home? 4:30, you said?
Right.
Okay, I'll have them done for her when she gets home. But no, I'll eat something later.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright. Are you gonna leave that in?
If you want, I don't give a fuck.
You can cut that out if you want. Okay, what were we talking about?
Oh yeah, they basically made Apex Legends despite what EA said that they could make, not because of it. Like, they tried their best to make a game that they could stomach while working under EA, so they need to pass that around to BioWare and everyone else, whatever special sauce they have to make EA think that whatever they make is good and not make shit.
Yeah, man, you gotta... That's Spider-Man 2, Activision didn't want the new dynamic web slinging system in that game. That's the reason why people like it. Like, the dude who was in charge of that project, in charge of programming the web slinging system, literally had to keep it hidden from the higher-ups. And then, like, until, like, the game was close to, like, being in the final stages of development, and then everyone saw it and loved it. But yeah, it's a struggle.
I think they kept the same web system in Spider-Man 3 too, right? That game?
I don't know.
Because that game was also really good. and had this a similar like open world movement system, which I think you kind of need to have in every Spider-Man game now because of those games.
Yeah, for real.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the new like Insomniac Spider-Man game, the one that came out last year?
I've seen footage of it. It looks pretty solid. Yeah, I mean,
People like, I think the complaints about it were there was mostly QTE based, not much actual gameplay or whatever.
yeah, I mean, it looks pretty awesome to me. I mean, that is a good example of. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hate on all AAA games because there's really good examples of it. Like, you know, the Spider-Man game, Titanfall. Not my type of game, but I've seen footage of it, and like I've seen people play it. Like, I think I've seen my friend play it. Like, it looks great. Both of them look great to me. Like, it's the kind of stuff that we need, you know? Looks good.
Man, I had a Rocket League rant that I wanted to go on. Okay, wait. Okay, now for the real topic. Enough of the games industry. Did you watch Digi's It's Great to Be a YouTuber vlog?
Yeah, that was funny.
Was it funny? It was like existentially depressing.
It was sad and funny. I mean, he meant it for me to be funny. I mean,
Did he mean it to be funny?
yeah, he says in the comments this is meant to be a joke, but also
Oh.
it's largely not.
Largely
meant to be a
true.
joke.
So yeah.
It's pretty.
I mean, it's
pretty
a
sad.
joke in the sense that it's a farce because everything is so fucked up. But then all the stuff that he says is like extremely serious. So like, what was your take on that?
My take is that, you know, man, like, it does seem very depressing. It does seem like a very depressing line of work, but I can't say that he didn't bring a lot of this on himself. I can't say that he's navigating the space the best. I think he needs to do more work on his part to adapt, maybe, to what the circumstances are, because, like, I mean, he hates on a guy like Mother's Basement for being like
A
sellout.
lot. Like he talks about him a lot. Like he's like his nemesis at this point. I don't think
Yeah,
Jeff Thu thinks about Digi nearly as much as Digi thinks about Jeff.
yeah, he doesn't. And do you know why Digibro
Ooh.
talks about Jeff
Ooh.
all the time? It's
He's
because
resentful.
yes, exactly. That's what I've always been thinking. Jeff seems like a nice dude. Like, he seems like he doesn't care. And
He's
like,
kind of douchey, but then he's not like that bad or anything.
I mean, like, I think that's his internet persona, but like, I get the feeling that like he's a really good, like, happy guy.
Yeah, I mean, everyone
Like-
like turns it up to 11 a little bit on the internet for sure, but
Yeah, including us all the time. You know.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not this disagreeable in real life.
Yeah, it's all for entertainment. Also, when you're talking to like your friends, like, it doesn't matter. You know, you can
Yeah.
just be whatever. You know.
You were saying anyway? What were we saying?
Yeah, I think that he says he can't be Mother's Basement with the style of content that he makes, but he literally can't. And I think he proved that when he was making a video every day. Like, he literally proved that. So, like, why can't you... Like, I don't want to see the guy's career... He can... It's not like his career's over. Like, he can salvage it. He could make more, Mother's Basement style content. I mean, he's already making Anime Man style content, so I think he's doing this, by the way, because that Let's Argue series is literally what the Anime Man is doing, so that's a good step in the right direction, I think. And I like...
it's a Fantano ripoff. That like the format in anime may be an Anime Man ripoff, but the whole like green screen in the background and like all that stuff, that's straight Fantano. Fantano does
Yeah.
Let's Argue too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I guess I'm talking about the anime within the
Yeah.
anime sphere.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Digi obviously has more takes than the Anime Man. Like that guy. No offense to that guy, but yeah.
I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but his content's made for 13-year-olds. Just gonna be real, like, nothing wrong with that.
I mean, his hair is made for 13-year-olds too, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
He's the Jacksepticeye of anime YouTube. And you know what?
He's like a mixture of Jacksepticeye and Markiplier of anime YouTube.
Yeah.
I would say closer to Markiplier.
And you know what? I would say, hey man, we need those type of people. There's nothing wrong. You know, whatever.
Oh,
You do
also,
you.
there's this I want to come back to this Digi thing, but then, did you see this video? It was on like every YouTube account that I have. It was recommended to me. The like long history of Naruto. Did you see that video?
No. How have I not gotten recommended this?
There's this guy. I guess he's an anime YouTuber, but I've never seen any of his like videos or his channel recommended until like this week when I saw that Naruto video. He made this like 34-minute full chronological timeline of Naruto.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's actually good.
That sounds amazing.
It's pretty good. He goes like, and you know, he's good. It was a really good video actually. And then after I watched that one video, I got recommended a whole bunch of his. So I forget the name. I think it's called. When I remember it, I'll find out what it is and say it in the next episode or something. But yeah, it got like 1 million views, so highly successful video. So we need someone like that too, who does kind of broad general knowledge content.
Yeah. You know, one of the best parts of reading Naruto for me was in between each chapter, Kishimoto would tell like his artistic influences. Well, in the early parts of Naruto, I should say. In Shippuden, he didn't, but or Shippuden doesn't exist in the manga. You know what I mean? He stopped doing it over time, but it was really interesting to hear how like, you know, he used to play baseball and like he fell in and out of the arts at some points, and like he got really inspired by a poster of Akira and just like stood by it and got inspired to make manga. All this stuff it was really cool to read.
This is great stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. His autobiography that he wrote about himself. I wish more people would do that. More manga authors should do that. It's cool.
Yeah, manga as a medium definitely hasn't been as used to its peak yet, but that's probably because it's a relatively new medium compared to books.
Have you seen that show where like the dude who made Oyasumi or Poon Poon or Goodnight Poon Poon, if you're not non-weave, that manga, which is really fantastic manga by the way, you would love it. You would love it, trust me. Goodnight Poon
I think
Poon.
I read the first couple chapters or something. I'll have to read it later. I don't have an iPad anymore, so I can't read it, but I'll read it later.
Okay, it's really good, and you'll like the later parts of the story a lot. Trust me. Like I think about it and I'm like, yeah, he would like this. This gets to where this gets more Kaito as it goes along, because like I won't say much, but anyways, there's this show in Japan that like where a dude, it's a reality show where a dude just like films people mangaka making manga, and they did one episode of the Iseniai Ano, I think that's his name, the dude who makes Oyasumi Poon Poon. They did an episode of him making manga. Really fascinating stuff. Like, really cool stuff.
This is the same reason why people like Shirobako, is creators like watching other creators, you know, creative people or whatever.
Yeah. I still need to watch Shirobako. Don't kill me. I still need to watch it.
It's okay. I'm not like super big on. I understand why people like it, but like, it's a process show. Like, it explains the process of anime. So the more invested you are into how anime is made, the more you'll like it.
That sounds like it would be perfect for me. Did you see Comic Girls? That show you recommended me?
No.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is funny because I didn't watch it, but I recommended it.
Yeah, it's a great show. I love it. I think you'd like it.
I've been over here watching this. I think it's like, what's it called? It's like some Emoto show or something.
What?
Yeah, there was this other show last season or a couple seasons ago called "A Sister Is All You Need." I don't know if you know. I really liked that show because it turned out to be just about like light novel writers, which I can relate to, even though it's baited as an Emoto show or whatever. So I thought this was similar, but it's not. This is just crappy, even though it's kind of similar premise.
What?
It's kind of a similar premise in that it's based on light novel writers who have little sisters who are also light novel writers.
Yeah. Is it? Wait, I'm confused. Between you cutting out and you wording it weird, I'm confused. Do you like the show or not?
No, I don't like it. It's bad.
Oh, I thought you. I got
Wait,
confused.
the other show I like, the show from a couple seasons ago, I do like. But there's a show this season called. Let me find it. Here we go. Oh God. Okay. Do I say the weeb name or not? I'm not gonna say it. It's like the one Emoto show in this season's run list, but it's really bad. Don't watch it. I thought it would be good because it has a similar. I thought it would be made by the same people who made the previous Emoto-based light novel writing show, but it's not. So I've been disappointed by that. We were talking about Digi. I don't know why we got to this topic.
Well, do you want to talk about light novels more? Because
I actually have no experience reading light novels. I just relate to the whole overall like writing type thing. That's why I like the other show. So, A Sister Is All You Need, big recommendation from me, even though the first 2 minutes are kind of extremely weird. So
I've seen it. I've seen the first episode, actually. I know, because it's like the first episode is the first 2 minutes are his light novel.
yeah, so don't get freaked out by that. But like the rest of the show is actually really good. It's like about a bunch of friends who are all writers. So that's like my dream is to have a cabal of writers.
Bro, you're like that dude. Who's that dude who wrote that Walden? You're like him.
Who are you talking about?
The Walden guy who lived in a pond. I feel like that would be your ideal life. You're just like this dude with this beard in this cabin that you built yourself with like an ink pen scrawling down on your scrolls.
Henry David Thoreau.
Yes, him. Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually like apparently an exercise in civil disobedience, which I found out later. Like, I think I read some of the book and then I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know why he's doing this. He's like really stubborn about all of it. He's like, oh yeah, I planted a garden. I was like, okay, you don't seem very like joyful in this. You seem to be making a point by doing this. It turns out he did it. He did the whole thing as like a civil disobedience exercise.
Okay, I don't mean to be... How is that not obvious? Like, the whole book is written... Like, that's like the most obvious thing about the book, though. That it's like a protest.
I thought it was like a romanticist kind of like rediscovering nature type vibe. I didn't know it was like inspired Gandhi to take up marching against the British or whatever. It turned out to be more of the latter than the former. I didn't know.
I mean, it's both in a way, but yeah, it is more of the latter than the former. Because like the whole point is like he's fed up with the societal constructs that are at place, so he goes to live in Walden Pond or write about ants, and it's really boring.
Is this one of those is this one of those things that like Southern people know more about? Like I feel like there's some stuff that Southern people just know more about.
Well, I think it's more of an American thing because we read it in school, so I think it's more of an.
We definitely did not read it in school, so yeah, you're way ahead of the curve on that one.
We read it. We read passages out of it in school, so yeah, I think it's an American thing, to be honest.
Did you go to like a rich school or something? This is what I'm picking up.
No, I just went to a generic public school.
Okay.
Well, actually, in elementary school, I did go to a magnet school. It was really good school, actually, called... I'm not going to say the name of it.
Don't say the name of the school.
Yeah, I was just about to slip up. But yeah, they actually had a band program for 5th graders, which is kind of...
Yo, I had the same thing. Did you play an instrument?
Yeah, I played the trombone, and I hated it.
I played the saxophone, bro. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I did it for 3 years till 7th grade.
Side note, it was weird the way they did it, because the band kids got to skip out on social studies, but like
you're cutting out big time. I didn't hear anything of what you just said.
Okay.
Band kids got to skip out on what?
Social studies, which is kind of weird. So
it's like you're in band, you don't need to know social studies. It's fine.
Yeah. So what you would do is when it came time to go to band, like, you would literally walk out of the classroom and just go to the band trailer. But here's what I started. I started hating the trombone, so I started skipping band class. So I started not skipping the real class. Isn't that weird?
This is like the best way to encourage staying in school is to put people in band. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, apparently it worked, because, like, it was weird. Like, no one cared if you skipped band. Like, it was weird. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, you could literally drop out of band class at any time. Because I remember, like, coming up ashamed to my band teacher, like, hey, like, you know, I'm not really feeling this anymore. Like, I want to leave. And he's like, yeah, I noticed you haven't been showing up a couple times. It's okay, man. Just, you know, whatever. Just continue going to social studies. And so I did that.
Oops. Okay, I'm like, okay. That
Yeah,
works for me. I don't mind.
He's just literally like, yeah, man, I don't care, you know.
The guy's like, I don't make anywhere near enough to care about you. It's fine.
I mean, exactly, yeah.
I went to
Side-
like this, like I lived in like a relatively poor apartment complex next to an extremely wealthy school for some reason. So all the kids who came to the school were like more well off than me, and all the teachers were like perky new graduates of programs and shit. So it was a pretty good school. That's why we had a band program and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome that schools, when they are able to, can invest in the arts like that. It's cool.
Yeah. Shout out to good school districts. And this is one of those memes that Digi goes on about, is that he was in the gifted program when he was in school. Do you know that meme?
Yeah.
He says that a lot, right? That he was in the gifted program in elementary school or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered that I was in the gifted program too. It's just like, okay, whatever. But-
I was in the slow program for a little bit for reading.
See, it doesn't matter. We all end up on YouTube in the end. So what does it? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. I had trouble reading. But here's the thing. I had a lot of trouble reading initially, so I was in this, like, special little class to, like, help you read. We did flashcards and games. But I feel like that made me a better reader. I'm not even joking.
Well, yeah. I mean, it had to. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they wouldn't let you out of that class.
I mean, well, like, I feel like, because I noticed that I would read more books than anyone after that class. And, like, I got really into reading after that class. So, like, I kind of think they should have just put everyone in that class. Like, because it was really helpful. This was at the elementary school that I was at. Like, they took special care to help make sure that I read. And I think that really helped my life. Like, I think that was a good thing. I think every
Shout
kid,
out education.
Yeah.
It turns out it's a good thing.
yeah, shout out to being in the slow program, I guess, because that was better. I guess. And I would always try to, like, there was, like, the smart kids who would always, like, read, like, Harry Potter, and I was like, oh, Harry Potter's such a big book, and I would check out Harry Potter at the library and, like, not read it, but, like, hold it so that it looked like I was reading it.
Kind of the opposite happened to me. So, for whatever reason, I started reading like super early because my parents liked reading or whatever. So I was reading like, do you know the 5th Harry Potter book? It's like really fat, right? It's like 700 pages or whatever.
The Order of the Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, I had that book with me when I was like kind of young, and like the librarian thought that I was just like not reading it. I was just holding on to it. It's like, oh, why do you have that book? And I was like, I was reading it. And it was like, yeah, sure, bro. I was like, come on, bro, I'm reading this book.
He should have just hit the mic. He probably only saw the movie and he was just jealous.
He was just like, I want that book.
Yeah. I had to check real quick. I got up to bump the mic because I had to check real quick if it's called The Order of the Phoenix. I have it on my shelf. So yeah, it is Order of the Phoenix. That's the best one,
I had
actually.
that book at some point. It's been lost in many moves.
Order of the Phoenix is probably the best one.
I agree. It's probably the best. Like, it could just work as a self-contained story too, I think.
Yeah, the Sirius Black death was very emotional for me. It was impactful. I like
because
that
like
part.
Harry actually does something in the book, like he takes agency to do something, which is something he does only very little in the whole series.
It's very true. Yep.
Most of the times things just happen to him and he reacts.
Yeah. Well, that kind of I think that kind of was intentional, sort of, because like, I mean, 5, 6, and 7. Well, I guess not really 6, but I think 5 and 7 he does take uh more agency. Mostly in 5, though. You're right, and I think that's as he got older, he took more agency. Is sort of what they were going for there. I think. You
Also,
know.
there's like this huge tonal departure between the first and like the first and second books. Just the first book seems like it's from a completely different series than the other books.
Yeah, it
I
kind of
think
does.
I think she was just planning to write like a series of one-offs, like Harry Potter and the Talking Vase or whatever. Like, and then she's like, the publisher was like, wait, don't do that. Connect them. Make it a cinematic universe.
Yeah, this meme that everyone speaks about, how like, oh, she wrote the whole story from day one on on a on a thing at a coffee shop. Even she says that, and I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
the book.
say,
It's a little bit too successful for it to be like they didn't put out all the books at once, right? They
yeah,
put out the books like one at a time. So when the
yeah, I don't
first
believe
book
that.
sold like a bajillion copies or whatever, you'd
You
think
know,
that they hired someone to tell her how to write it.
probably. I mean, it became like an industry. You know that meme, like everyone says the reason Final Fantasy is called Final Fantasy is because it was Hironobu Sakaguchi's last chance to make a game for the to prove himself to. I think that's literally fake. I think
A
it
lot
is.
of the like narratives are fake, but
Yeah.
why do we care if they're fake if they're good narratives?
Yeah, no one cares. They just want that to be the truth. But I mean, if you look into the history, like the dude started SquareSoft out of his dad's electric company, so like he had like a lot of backing. I don't think they were struggling to make a game at all because they would like had published a bunch of other games. Like I don't think it's true. Like yeah, it's just romantic to have a sort of like underdog narrative like that.
Yeah, like rags to riches narrative. That's kind of one of the most popular.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of rags to riches narratives, Digibro used to work at Target.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about Digibro. My bad. My bad. Sorry.
I actually I keep thinking like I have some stuff to say about this, but either I keep forgetting or I just don't want to say the stuff that I want to say. Like, I feel like the internet right now is not a particularly friendly place for creative people.
Yeah.
Do you get that feeling? Like, okay, so here's the like mini rant. So I was just looking around, like, what type of options do you have to monetize anything on the internet, right? And there are options, but like for someone who's just starting out or like looking to make their start, there's no like obvious way to be like, this is the avenue I should take if I want to be successful on this or on the internet in general. And that's kind of a good thing in a way because it means there's a ton of stuff that you potentially can do. But it's also kind of like paralyzing because there's so much choice that you don't know what to do. And then you kind of just end up making what you think you should be making because of the platform that you chose to be on in the first place.
Yeah.
There's a particular tech channel that I see evidence of a lot in this. Is like the focus is way too much on the other stuff outside of the content. And I'm not going to... Should I say the name of the channel? I don't. He's not going to watch this, so it doesn't matter.
don't
Should I
care.
say it? Okay,
You
the dude's
sure?
name is Epus Vox. I've been watching him since like 2015. He used to make like OBS tutorials or something. But like somewhere along the way, he transitioned into like reviewing tech stuff. And his like speciality is like reviewing tech stuff that is kind of like more obscure or like not many people know about. But like his you know, like some people just get stuck in making a certain type of content and don't ever change it, even if it's not particularly like good.
Yeah.
You know, you get what I'm talking about? So like
Mhm.
this dude's been making the same kind of like tech review-ish videos for a long time, and they've never really been all that successful. Like he only gets like 2 or 3K views max on any of his videos. He has like 100 and something thousand subscribers. He only gets like 2 or 3K views max. But like the conversation about YouTube is so much about the stuff outside of the content that he's like convinced himself that he has to do all this stuff to be a quote unquote real YouTuber. Like he spends like thousands of dollars on pro monitors and like professional cameras and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm over here like, there's no way this dude makes anywhere near enough money to make any of this worthwhile.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't really even know the guy. I've only watched a few of his videos, but even to me, it's getting to a point. Recently he bought like an $8,000 cinema camera, like something that people used to shoot like movies for no reason at all. And he's in that like cycle where it's like you convince yourself that something will change with the next big thing that you buy, and then and then nothing changes because you're not changing at all. You're just buying more stuff and you're convincing yourself that something will change, and you're trying to justify it to yourself, be like, oh, if I buy this thing, I'll make this much more money per video and I can make this many videos per month, and it'll increase my production quality and people will notice and I'll gain this many subscribers or whatever. But like none of that stuff happens, and he just keeps buying stuff. And it made me think about like what YouTube is becoming now. It's like, because of the presence of like these huge ass studios and like really big channels on YouTube now, it's become like this race where the small people feel like instead of focusing on the content, they should focus on making a Patreon and a PayPal email and like 45 other ways to send them money, even though there's no one trying to send you money. And you're spending all this money on stuff that you don't need to do stuff, like to improve stuff that nobody notices because nobody's watching any of your stuff.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's like this one guy is like this example of what YouTube will eventually become to me. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's like you get caught up in the zeitgeist. It's like because you see other channels going like big business and big equipment, you think you need that to succeed. But it's like, if you step back, the whole point of this website was like people making vlogs on their webcam. You know what I mean? Like, that's the spirit of it. It's like, it's YouTube. It's, you know? But so like...
Yeah, this used to be a site full of cat videos. I'm kind of worried for this guy now, because he like kind of said in that video where he bought the camera that he bought some of it on credit, and I'm like, yikes, this is not good. Yeah, I think this guy's gonna financially ruin himself trying to become a real YouTuber. I don't know. Like, I feel like this is not a good example, and that other people will eventually go the same way for no reason, other than that they're trying to keep up with people who have way more financially sound setups on this site than they do.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
It's like, what do you need? Like, how much have I spent? I've spent like $100-something on this mic and this mic stand. The reason I did that was because the quality of audio on my phone I wasn't exactly satisfied with, and I'm like, I don't need that good audio quality, so I only need a little bit. I only need just enough to get by. So I just got enough, and there's no excuse. There's no, oh, I need it. The reason people aren't watching is because of the blah blah blah. It's like blase blase. It's like, the reason people aren't watching as much is because I'm not as entertaining. The video is not as good, because the audio quality now is at a point to where it could be listenable. There are channels with this audio quality, probably even lower, that have way more subscribers. So the only excuse is me. The only excuse is you are the one that need to change. You know?
Yeah. But that's the hardest part to do, is to change yourself. You know, you can always change your surroundings. It's hard to change like your own behavior.
Yeah, the hardest part is to dig down and be like, okay, what is the actual problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is, I think, something that maybe Digi should embrace, you know, a little bit more SEO, which he's shown that he can do.
Yeah. But definitely the solution is not to buy a film camera.
Yeah.
Not to blow money and destroy your life.
Credit card debt doesn't go away, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Should we call it a day on that note?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good lesson. Credit card debt doesn't go away.
Remember, kids, credit cards are for life.